So good morning, all of you. Welcome to Almere. Welcome to Floriade Expo 2022. I will give you an overview over the expo and give you also a kind of a small preview on the results, or that's how it was going this edition. But first we will start with a small introduction on So that's the impression about Floriade Expo 2022. Now we have still 13 days to go, including this day. Actually, next Sunday we will have the closing ceremony of the Floriade Expo. Actually, the story of this Floriade, Kees van Roy told you already that it's the 7th Floriade in the Netherlands. Every 10 years it's held here. In this edition, actually, we combined the horticulture expo together with the Growing Green City theme, where we are looking for, let's say, cities in a livable world with national participants. And we created an inspiring arboretum with a very varied art and culture program. And actually in the greenest city of the Netherlands in our country, Almere. The theme is more important than ever. We are here in Almere, it's in the Flevopolder, we have to say, and actually we are here living 4 meters below sea level. For some foreigners is that, let's say, a new experience. Some of the foreigners always ask us, where are the boats? Now, the boats are not here, you just have to leave by car when the sea is coming. But actually there's no place in the world actually where it's more protected against the sea than in this specific polder, as we call it. It was reclaimed land since 1972. Actually, when we're talking about the theme Growing Green Cities of Floriade Expo 2022, we have 4 sub-themes: greening the city, feeding the city, healthying the city, and energizing the city. And of course, greening the city and feeding the city has everything to do with the horticulture industry, and healthying the city and energizing the cities are these aspects we add together to the theme Growing Green City. The concept was that every participant in Floriade has to take one of these sub-themes or combined sub-themes and present themselves in the way what their vision is on the future on one of these themes or of the overall theme, Growing Green Cities. As Floriade Expo 22, we have 4 founders. Of course, the Horticulture Council of the Netherlands. We have the city of Almere. We have the province of Flevoland, and we have the state of the Netherlands as our 4 founders. Actually, finally, in 2012, the city of Almere won the bid with the theme Growing Green Cities, and everything what was presented to be the host city of the Floriade 2022. Now, of course, Almere is a rather new city. It is the 9th city in the meantime of the Netherlands with more than 220,000 people. It's very near Amsterdam, so a lot of people from, let's say, the old land are moved over the past years to the new city. And when you are visiting the Floriade, you have the opportunity to also visit the top floor of the building Flores. You can see that it's an all green city. It's all with trees, etc. So it's an example for a city as it should be in the future. Now, as the province, I told you already that it was reclaimed land from in 1972, and actually, it's in the United States they call it the wheat belt. That's where all the wheat come from, and the Flevopolder you should call it the potato belt of the Netherlands. Actually, it's the biggest export product of the Netherlands, and we are exporting all kinds of horticulture products, but also especially potatoes from this part of the country to all over the places all over the world. Now, and of course, the Horticulture Council is founder. They are actually the owner of the title Floriade, and they also they choose the city which it will be held next time. And the state of the Netherlands is very much involved. They were actually especially helping us in all these innovative presentations from the Dutch industry, which came together in the greenhouse and the natural pavilion. Finally, when you look to the whole Floriade, it's 60 hectares big. It's rather big, actually. So when you just have to walk, you better take your sports shoes with you. It was half a year, so next week it will close. And actually, the content is kind of a double content. It's all about horticulture, and it's all about sustainable innovations in the different sub-themes as I described to you. About 72% of our visitors are national visitors, and about 28% are international visitors. And the biggest part of the international visitors are coming from Germany, of course, our neighbor country. We had 35,000 school children. The target was much higher, but I can explain to you why this was lower. And we had a very successful array of business-to-business events. Finally, there were 30 countries represented as participants, and we have about 210 Dutch participants from, let's say, with a substantial participation. There are, of course, much more. For instance, there are all kinds of growers who donated, let's say, some trees to the Floriade, but we are talking about these participants, which were rather significant. So this is just the overview of the whole Floriade. Now, actually, when we finalize the show next week, but I can give you already a glimpse of the results. They are not all very nice, but some of them are. Actually, we realized a very gorgeous park. The beginning was very difficult, actually, and by now a lot of people forget that we were at the beginning of February. Holland was still dark red on the COVID map in the world, so a lot of countries did not decide to participate before the 1st of February, while the opening of the show was the 13th of April. So I remember that at the beginning of February, we had only signatures of 18 countries, and we were still talking and trying to get them to our Floriade in March and in April, and finally we ended with 30 countries. But due to the fact that this COVID situation delayed actually the subscription of the participants, at the moment we opened the show, about 7 of the international participants were not ready. And that was actually a pity, but that was due to all the problems we had at the time. And that gave us actually in the beginning rather negative press attention, because people expected that everything should be ready. Now, finally, within, let's say, 10 days, almost, I have to say, almost all the international pavilions were ready. I have to mention that the last one was ready 6 weeks after the opening, so we really had some difficulties there. But and actually at the same time, at the moment of the opening of the Floriade, it was very dry in the Netherlands, and we kind of suffered the first week. So we had, let's say, a very difficult start, and that didn't give us many positive reviews and publicity. Actually, we had a very good press attention outside the Netherlands, especially Germany. So almost the numbers we expected from visitors from Germany are almost reached. And finally, the B2B activity, so all the professional events, they attracted a lot of B2B visitors, and also on that part of the show, it was a positive, a very successful part of the show. Now, as we are talking about visitor numbers, of course, we give the numbers next Sunday. We found out just after the opening that the numbers were very disappointing, actually, and we couldn't understand that very well, because we did market research in 2019, and it was concluded that there was enough demand in the market, especially in the Netherlands. And we did also a research in 2020, focused on the price level, and also from that study, it showed that there was enough interest in the market for a certain price level. But actually, we opened on 13th of March, and we had a very hard time to create, let's say, in this COVID period, the Floriade. But we were disappointed about the number of visitors, and we immediately started the market research, what was going on, and we found out that in the post-COVID period, almost all in the Netherlands, at least the public, they didn't have priority to what we call the attraction parks, in which category also Floriade fits. And they were more focusing on social events. Let's say, in the Netherlands, it was almost not possible to reserve a restaurant 1 week in advance. And all kinds of activities were focused on these social events. And in the second place, we found out there was a very low interest in new events, and due to the fact that Floriade is one in 10 years, you should categorize it as a new event. And on top of that, of course, we had the war in Ukraine and the energy crisis, so the inflation went very much up. So also budgetary reasons were limiting the demand, and that combined with the with, let's say, the not so positive publicity ended in a very disappointing number of visitors. Actually, what we found out is that we have, let's say, the professionals, they all came to the Floriade, we expected, and also the, let's say, the hobbyists, I should say, and the high interest people on the horticulture side and on the sustainability side. And what the group which were not visiting us was, let's say, the mainstream of the market. People who were perhaps low interest, had some low interest in the whole theme, but wanted to have a nice day in a park. Now, actually, we started with quite a reinforcement of the marketing campaign. But also we found out that the effect of the other marketing were very low. Actually, we did a test about 1 month after the opening with the price level, a very, let's say, test on a special group, and we gave this test 50% discount on the entrance price and free parking, so it was about 70%. So, and we found out that that didn't help either. So that was the signal for us that not going further with all kind of discounts. So from that moment on, we did only discounts to special target groups, etc. Now, this is just what I can tell you for the moment as the actual glimpse of Floriade. It's perhaps not the nicest story, but we have to realize that Floriade was prepared in a period where COVID was around us and limited all kinds of businesses. For instance, also the participants. We had the problem that in the countries where participants had their own, let's say, participants in that country, they were not able to travel and to get all these people aboard. So it's rather a logic that these difficulties occurred. Now, finally, with our team and with our founders, we realized the opening, which was we experienced as something special, we have to say. And we realized a very gorgeous show, but you have to see for yourself if you agree with that conclusion. So then I will continue by just giving you the overview. These are the 6 parts of the show, of the horticulture. The green, actually, the business itself, the whole horticulture industry. We have the participants, the greenhouse, the art and culture program, the hospitality, and the legacy. Now, actually, the green, the most important part of the green is the arboretum. We have about 750 different kind of trees. In total 3,000, and they are all around, all these trees are located around all the lots where the participants are. Now, that arboretum will stay. Actually, I will tell you a little later about the legacy. Now, I think the green was very successful, besides the difficult start with the dry period, but after 2 weeks we had it also under control. And people give very positive reviews in the meantime. Now, the participants are all 30 in altogether from the international market. Here you see the United Arab Emirates, which is very special. I can kind of advise you to visit that, because for us in a polder where it's only wet and you have dirt there, and suddenly you are in the desert of this republic. Also, the Japanese participant is very on the green side, let's say the horticulture side, and Germany gives a very nice impression about how they work on green cities in Germany in the meantime. For all the countries, we had to have an array of a lot of national days. And then we go to the national participants. They are rather varied. On the right side, up on the right side, you see the natural pavilion, where you have an enormous array of new innovative solutions for green cities for the future. Then the greenhouse is, of course, the place where the industry, the horticulture industry, shows to the public, but also to all the professionals, how the whole industry is moving in the Netherlands in terms of sustainability and productivity. It's about 10,000 square meters. It's rather huge, but it's very interesting. And actually, the industries succeeded in presenting themselves in a very professional way. Now, then, of course, we have the art and culture program. The city of Almere invested a lot of money in the art and culture program. So we have a lot of statues. In the middle, you see from Florentijn Hofman, on the central square. It's the statue which is called Behold, and it's about the bees in the world are not anymore in that numbers as they were in the past. And when we don't have bees anymore, there's also no place anymore for people in the world. On the right side, you see the Pavilion M. That's a museum, let's say a small, gives an impression of the coming museum of Almere. And we have also a big children program for, let's say, all the school children. We had. Of course, I told you that the number of children visiting the Floriade were also limiting. We suffered actually in the period before Floriade that all these schools were closed because of COVID for a long time, and people of these schools were not busy with organizing their tours. They are more in the period of surviving with their school systems. So that was actually the reason that we had not the desired number of visitors there. Now, of course, we have an extended food program also, which connects to the third theme of feeding the city. Now, finally, the legacy, actually the basic concept of this Floriade is that we have an expo. We develop an expo combined with new urban area. So far there are 5 buildings ready, these 4 together with the museum actually. And the whole infrastructure for the new urban area is already there. So actually that was the idea behind this is, of course, that we have combined costs. You need, of course, the infrastructure and of these buildings you need also for the expo. Now, actually, it's a marvelous idea, and actually we had a lot of benefits from it, but before you take over this idea, you should really think about what is going on, because you can imagine that the one who is developing the urban area got other interests than the one who is developing the expo. And that is, of course, a challenge, and you have to create in advance, let's say, a situation that will work very well. Now, finally, a part of also the legacy are the building the bridges which were built. They are all sustainable bridges. We call it a bridge campus. There are 9 bridges which are all, let's say, sustainable from its construction. There's also a bridge which is not on this picture, which is what we call the Second Life Bridge. That was a bridge which was crossing a highway in the Netherlands since I think 1950, and it was not not the bridge itself was not good enough anymore to cross this highway, and it was taken in parts, and it was brought to Floriade, and now it's in their second life for the next 50 or 100 years. Now, there are all kinds of bridges, and people from all over the world are coming to visit this special, let's say, part of the urban area, Hortus, which is at this moment still the Floriade Expo 2022. And we are looking forward to see you tomorrow and the day after tomorrow on our Floriade. To enjoy all the splendor of the horticulture and all the innovations in terms of sustainability, where Floriade with Growing Green City stands for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hans. Yeah, please just hold on here if there's any questions from anybody. First of all, I would like to say thank you for that honest analysis. I think it's very helpful for everyone to understand the challenges as well that are faced in an event like this. And I think as someone involved in the jury, we felt your pain at the beginning, but at the same time, as we came back, we saw a really magnificent expo, and it was really it was a little bit sad for us to think that people might have been put off from coming when we were there and seeing what a beautiful display it was as the summer went on. So well done for the event that you were able to create. I just had a question which for you, which was, if you were starting it again, what would you do different?
I think,
you only pick one thing.
This, I will mention one thing, and especially on that part where, let's say, the horticulture council is involved. There are much more things which we should different. But I think what happened actually is that there was a tender, and the city of Almere, they presented themselves with this theme, Growing Green Cities. And that was finally chosen, but I think the consciousness of the people who decided at that time didn't realize that these themes are actually two different themes. So you have the theme of the horticulture, people visiting the horticulture for, or the Floriade for the plants and the flowers and the trees. And on the other hand, you have this high-end Growing Green City concept. And that's very, at least because my background is marketing, it's very difficult to combine these two in a strong marketing concept. So my suggestion should be, whenever you start horticulture, choose a theme and choose the way the requirements you have for all the participants, that is really connected together with this whole horticulture theme. Otherwise, you have marketing-wise very big difficulties. And I think we had also these difficulties in different ways. Of course, also with the city of Almere, which they were focusing very much on this Growing Green City part. Well, in the meantime, we were organizing an Floriade and horticulture show. So actually focus on one theme, which is really connected, and not two different themes. That's one of the ideas.
That's very interesting, because in the end of the day, you're creating a visitor attraction that people need to understand what they're coming to and be able to connect with it. Yeah. So the importance of the theme and how that connects with the whole marketing agenda. Thank you. Any questions? Hans?
No, thank you very much. I enjoyed being here today.